Good morning and welcome back to Sun Upon 7. So without further ado, we jump into our first segment and we're here joined with Captain Greg Soberanis of the Belize Coast Guard. And we're here talking about border management control. What is it like on the seas and what are the Coast Guard doing to help to protect our beautiful country of Belize? So good morning, Captain. How are you doing this morning?
I'm blessed. Thank you.
Great.
I like that answer.
Half of men and women of the Coast Guard, thank you for having us this morning.
Yes, thank you for being here.
Conversation. And we're really thankful for you guys to heed the call whenever we ask, because I think our young people, our people in general in Belize need to understand what it takes to be able to protect us. Because we always say, I think when we think about border protection, we go to a restaurant, we think about the lands instead of what happens on the sea. And a lot happens on the sea. So before we even get into that, I want to ask about the importance of border security when it comes to our seas. Why is it so important?
It's very important. One of the mandate of the Belize Coast Guard is territorial sovereignty, maintaining the territorial integrity of our sea spaces. And it's very important for Belizeans to understand that we do have a vast sea space. In fact, you always say about 8869, and it speaks primarily to our land borders. But Belize has a sea of over 14,000 square miles.
Wow. Okay.
So you can see it's almost twice the size of our land space. And our seas our sea space, or the maritime domain, is significant to the country of Belize because of the economic viability and what it brings to our GDP every year. So it really is a significant source of income for many Belizeans, especially for tourist industry. So it's very important for us to protect that economic space, that blue economic space, as well as the natural resources that it provides. We have the barrier reef, we have a lucrative marine environment here in Belize. So all these things are significant, and it's important that we protect these resources.
How you speak about the protection of these resources. How prevalent are incursions into our maritime space from persons who don't have that permission to enter?
One of the things that we can be proud of here in Belize is the way we manage our blue space. Many of our neighbors don't have the vibrant marine ecosystems that we have. We have legislation in place that protects our blue space. So it's important for us to protect that, because there are many from Guatemala and Honduras. There are many fisher folks folks from Guatemala and Honduras who tend to come into our space and exploit the resources, the marine resources that we have. So we do have a huge task at hand as the Belize Coast Guard to ensure that these marine resources are protected and that they can be sustained for years to come. Of course, while this is one of our main efforts when it comes to the blue space, it's really done through collaboration and partnership.
Okay.
So you'll find that the Belize Coast Guard works in collaboration and partnership with key government agencies. For example, the Fisheries Department, the Belize Port Authority, as well as with NGOs, the Audubon Society, Oceana, Tide, down south, WCS. We work with SACD up north, C in Placencia. So these are TASA out at Turniff.
Right.
So these are some of our key partners that we collaborate with ensuring that our marine resources are protected.
So, and that same grounds, what does it take to actually protect our seas? I know there's a collaboration, there's partnership, because no man is an island, and we really can't just have one of the Belize Coast Guard out there. That's gonna be a lot for them to be dealing with. So how does it work when it comes to manning the seas? There's shifts. What happens exactly out there when it comes to how we're protecting ourselves?
So for us as a The Coast Guard is a unique organization. By legislation, we are defined as a naval force for Belize with law enforcement authority.
Right.
So we do have our military functions, we have our law enforcement functions, and we also have our humanitarian functions in times of disaster, where we provide that assistance to communities that are affected by these natural disasters. But it do, as relates to manning the seas, in the military, we do what we call theater geometry, where we look at the space in which we operate, and we look at what are or what is the best way to man the space. What resources will be required? How many personnel? And so you look at logistics. You look at the capacity that you have, and how do you use and utilize the capacity or the resources that you have to best execute the mandate of protecting that particular space. So, for example, we look at Belize, which has a coast of over 200 miles. As the Coast Guard, we've broken that down into 3 geographic commands. We have the northern sector, the central sector, and the southern sector. And so we have allocated resources and personnel that are assigned to these sectors.
Okay.
And each sector has a commander, a person in charge of that particular sector. And that particular geographic space is then again broken down into smaller spaces. And each space has what we call an area commander. So it's decentralized command. And then everything flows back up, of course, to the commandant.
Right.
Right. And so every so often we reassess where we are and how we're performing, and do we need to make adjustment. We do what we call a threat analysis. And based on that threat analysis, we'll determine if we adjust our position and posture, and we adjust our forces.
In relation to narco trafficking, what exactly do we look at when it comes to protection from that breaking of the laws or what's not?
So the transnational organized criminal organization or networks will definitely look at ways to exploit, utilizing our sea spaces, with transporting of narcotics.
I mean, sorry, just not to cut you short, but I just remember the story about a submarine which was caught.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. It really takes again collaboration. The Belize Coast Guard, the commandant, we do have a plan as relates to when it comes to drug trafficking activities, whether it's coming by sea or it's coming by air.
Right.
So we work very closely with the JIAC, the Joint Intelligence Operations Center, based in Ladyville. And through the JIAC, much of the illegal air traffic that enters our
Right.
space, the security forces are organized through the JIAC.
Okay.
And so there's collaboration between the operations center at the JIAC and our operations center at our headquarters. And based on what information is available, will determine how we deploy and where we deploy
Okay.
when it comes to these activities.
Has to be fast acting, I
Yes.
can imagine.
Yes,
So when you get that tip or whatever it is, based on that information, that's when you just
that's when
go.
you move. That's when you move, because time is critical.
Yes.
Time is critical in our business. Yes.
Captain Soberanis, so I understand also that there was a huge tripartite meeting that recently occurred between the Coast Guard, the BDF, and Mexican counterparts. Could you share any details on what has transpired from that?
It's the border commanders meeting.
Okay.
It's a significant meeting for us. The Mexicans or Mexico is one of our key allies.
Okay.
They've been a great partner to the Belize Coast Guard when it comes to training, professional growth and development, and even in cases of medical emergencies. So the Mexicans are a key partner for us. they're more like our big brother. You know, we have a great relationship with Mexicans, and we really do value and appreciate the relationship and the military diplomacy that we have with the Mexicans. So annually, there's a borders commanders meeting where, for example, where the heads for the respective force meet to discuss and look at the way forward when it comes to how we operate along our borders. So you will have, for example, our commandant, Admiral Bennett, General Loria from the BD, with our Mexican counterparts, their admiral and their generals, and they would look at trends and patterns over the past year, and what is that saying, and how do we move forward. So there's significant work, collaboration, and partnership when it comes to operations that we do with the Mexicans at our northern border.
I want to jump now from northern to southern border. Could you share any updates as to our famous Sarstoon Island?
Yes. Yes. As you know, our position is that the Sarstoon Island belongs to Belize. In our minds, there's no if or maybe about that.
That's point blank.
Part of the mandate of the Belize Coast Guard is to ensure that we maintain presence and sovereignty of that area. BDF has a presence at the Sarstoon as well, and we have a presence in Barranco in direct support of the as well.
Okay.
And we do conduct our southern border patrol from Hunting Key all the way down to Sarstoon, because we do have a forward operating base at Hunting Key.
Right.
Remember, I had earlier mentioned the three geographic commands.
Right.
So we have stations San Pedro up north. We have one in Calabash, forward operating base, and one in Hunting Key.
Okay.
So one of the tasks that Barranco and Hunting Key has is for them to conduct that weekly patrol along our southern maritime border. Because one of the significant area for us down south is an area known as the Corona Reef. It's a pristine part of our reef system. It's beautiful, rich marine life. So the Coast Guard, we ensure that we protect our portion of that reef from exploitation from the fishermen from Guatemala and Honduras.
Is there could you share any short insight, because as we're coming to the end of the segment, just a little short insight as to pirating. How prevalent is pirating in terms of both north and south borders?
Oh, yes. Again,
And if there's any in the central region as
yes.
well.
It does occur in all sectors. It tends to be more prevalent down south.
I mean, there's two countries down south.
Yes, yes. So when you look at piracy or robbery at sea, it's something that we keep a close eye on, because much of the product is taken over into Honduras. So it's a lucrative business, and especially when you have the opening of the season, where these pirates know or are aware that the fishermen will have hundreds of pounds of lobster or conch, and they see the fishermen as soft targets, and so that is where it's during that time you will find that robbery at sea increases, or sometimes you'll find that you have conflict over area, similar to the on the land side where you have turf, gangs fight over turf.
Right.
You'll find that out at sea, it's a similar situation where you find that certain individuals want to control a particular area. So that's where us and fisheries, even with the with police, we coordinate our efforts and we address those issues and ensure that that the perpetrators who take harm on innocent fishermen are dealt with according to the law.
Definitely a lot to unravel when it comes to the Belize Coast Guard and all the things that you have to do on a daily basis. But what you mentioned is super important about the collaboration. So it's not you doing it by yourself, you know,
Yes.
no man is an island.
Yes.
And we're trying to work and see how we can be able to better protect our seas. Understanding, like you said, the analysis of how we were last year and seeing now what we can be able to implement moving forward. That's why the meetings are super important, right?
It is.
Because we can be able to collaborate. As we're wrapping up this segment, Captain, is there any last words you want to tell to the Belizeans out there when it comes to being able to protect our borders? What are their role in the overall synopsis of this? Is there any final comments for that?
Yeah, so one of the things there are many Belizeans who are not aware that there is an emergency number. If you see anything out there, because we know that there are Belizeans, a lot of Belizeans who operate at sea, whether it's for tourism, in the tourism sector or in the fishery sector. So they do see things. You can call the Coast Guard. We do have a hotline, 922. And that way you can play your part in protecting our blue space, protecting our maritime domain. It's not just the Coast Guard and the NGOs and the other government agencies.
You have a role to play as
You,
well.
as a Belizean operating at sea, you do have a role to play. So if you see something, don't be afraid to give the Coast Guard a call so that we can respond accordingly. But we as the Belize Coast Guard, we remain what we call trinque paratus, which is our motto, trinque paratus, ready for anything. Right?
I love it.
Ready
I love
for
it.
anything.
I can imagine, yes, it's not only international pirates happening, it's Belizeans
Local
as
as well. Yes.
Call the 922 number in case
Yes.
there's anything
Yes.
out of the ordinary that
That's
you're
right.
seeing. Okay,
That's
great.
right.
Illegal or so.
That's right.
See is something.
See
And
is
that's a very simple number to remember, guys. 922 is like
Yes.
really not rocket science. I'm not sure if they have to give their information, like their personal information.
No,
Can it be
no, they don't.
anonymous?
Yes, they
Perfect.
can.
Just so, because I know some
Yes.
people afraid for call because they
Yeah.
don't want you ask
I know, I
their
know.
personal information. They're afraid something happening in that realm. But so, guys, you know your role to play as well. It's not only up to the Belize Coast Guard. It's not only up to the NGOs. It's up to us as well. We're out there on the seas where they see things when we know what's supposed to happen. Make the call. 922. Very simple number to call, and make a report. Just let them know they're gonna be investigating. Not play like you're the super savior and try to go investigate anything
Nope.
either to us. Well. Because no, you're not the superheroes. Let them be the superheroes. Because remember, what's the motto again?
Trinque paratus, ready for anything.
Ready for anything. So once you call it, they are ready for whatever.
That
So
my
ready for
Facebook status,
anything.
no.
That's gonna be a new status. Yes, everybody stop, put that up. But thank you so much, Captain, for being here,
Yes,
for
thank
giving
you.
us all this update. And I'm sure a lot of people took home some different information that they can be able to put in their mind. And also that number 922 to make sure they make their calls when they're out in the sea.
Well, on behalf of Admiral Bennett, men and women of the Coast Guard, thank you for having us here this morning.
Thank you for being here with us.